Hare Krishna, Leela Manjari Mataji. Praise Bhagavan Leela. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada.
How are you?
I'm good, Mataji. How are you?
Well, I have to leave a little bit early. I have to go to the chiropractor for a treatment.
Mm-hmm.
My back has been flared up pretty bad.
Mm.
That's why I'm not going to do the silver polishing until this goes away a little bit. So I feel a little bit tired, but I'm fine. And so you're doing well?
Yes, Mataji. I'm good.
Glad to hear it.
Thank you.
Glad to hear it. How's your sister doing?
She's fine. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I met her yesterday. She is fine.
Oh, good. And she's looking well and everything, ready for the baby, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
Are you going to come to Jita Shantas on Thursday?
No, I have a parallel appointment, so I cannot make it.
Oh, okay.
Should we get started? It's just the two of us as of now.
At this point, that's fine. I have to read early because I'll have to leave at about 20 minutes to 6 to make it there on time. Okay?
Okay, sounds good. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Katamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudírayat Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. So we are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 8, text 73 to 79.
Yeah, there are quite a few here that don't have, a couple here that don't have any purports, and some of them have very small purports.
Would you like to start, Mataji?
Yes, I can read. It's not a problem. Okay, text 73. Divityam Chatatamasam Shashte Arbako Dine Trina Parna Dibihi Shirnai Kritano Yarchayan Vibhum. Translation. In the second month, Dhruva Maharaj ate only every 6 days, and for his eatables, he took dry grass and leaves. Thus, he continued his worship. 74. Tritiyam Chanayan Masam Navame Ahani Abasksha Utam Mashlokam Upadagat Samadhina. A translation. In the third month, he drank water only every 9 days. Thus, he remained completely in trance and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is adored by selected verses. 75. Chaturtam apivaimasam vadashe dvadashe ahani vayu bhakshojita svaso yayan devam adarayat. Translation and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In the 4th month, Dhruva Maharaj became a complete master of the breathing exercise, and thus he inhaled air only every 12th day. In this way, he became completely fixed in his position and worshiped the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 76. Panchame masi anuprate jitash shvaso nipatmajaha driyayan brahma padekena tastau tanur divachalaha. Translation. By the 5th month, Dhruva Maharaj, the son of the king, had controlled his breathing so perfectly he was able to stand on only one leg, just as a column stands, without motion, and concentrate his mind fully on the Para Brahman. Maybe I'll do 77 and let someone else do 78, 79. 77. Sarvatomana akrishya Riti Bhutendri Yashayam Riyayan Bhagavatorupam Nadrakshit Kinchana Param. Translation. He completely controlled his senses and their objects, and in this way he fixed his mind without diversion to anything else upon the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The yogic principles of meditation are clearly explained here. One has to fix one's mind upon the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without diversion to any other objective. It is not that one can meditate or concentrate on an impersonal objective. To try to do so is simply a waste of time, for it is unnecessarily troublesome, as explained in Bhagavad Gita. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Lavanya Mataji. Thank you for
Hare
joining.
Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Lavanya. Nice to hear from you twice today. Actually, 3 times, this morning and this afternoon too. Thank you.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, would you like to read text 78?
Yes, Mataji. 1 second. I'm opening the book. Text 78, Mataji. Yeah. Adharam mahad adinam pradhana purusheshwaram brahmadharaya manasya trayo lokascha kampire. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. When Dhruva Maharaja thus captured the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the refuge of the total material creation and who is the master of all living entities, the 3 worlds began to tremble. In this verse, the particular word Brahma is very significant. Brahman refers to one who not only is the greatest, but has the potency to expand to an unlimited extent. How was it possible for Dhruva Maharaja to capture Brahman within his heart? This question has been very nicely answered by Jiva Goswami. He says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the origin of Brahman, for since he comprises everything, material and spiritual, there cannot be anything greater than he. In the Bhagavad Gita, also, the Supreme Godhead says, I am the resting place of Brahman. Many persons, especially the Mayavadi philosophers, consider Brahman the biggest, all expanding substance. But according to this verse and other Vedic literatures, such as Bhagavad Gita, the resting place of Brahman is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just as the resting place of the sunshine is the sun globe. Srila Jiva Goswami therefore says that since the transcendental form of the Lord is the seed of all greatness, he is the Supreme Brahman. Since the Supreme Brahman was situated in the heart of Dhruva Maharaja, he became heavier than the heaviest, and therefore everything trembled in all three worlds and in the spiritual world. The Mahat Tattva, or the sum total of the material creation, is to be understood to be the ultimate end of all universes, including all the living entities therein. Brahman is the resort of the Mahat Tattva, which includes all material and spiritual entities. It is described in this connection that the Supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead, is the master of both Pradhana and Purusha. Pradhana means subtle matter, such as ether. Purusha means the spiritual spark living entities who are entangled in that subtle material existence. These may also be described as Para Prakriti and Apara Prakriti, as stated in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna, being the controller of both the Prakritis, is thus the master of Pradhana and Purusha. In the Vedic hymns, also the Supreme Brahman is described as Anta Pravishta Sastha. This indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is controlling everything and entering into everything. The Brahman Samhita 5.35 further confirms this. Andantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastham. He has entered not only the universes but even the atom. In Bhagavad Gita 10.42, Krishna also says, Vistabhyaham idam Krishnam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead controls everything by entering into everything. By associating constantly with the Supreme Personality in his heart, Dhruva Maharaja naturally became equal to the greatest Brahman by his association and thus became the heaviest, and the entire universe trembled. In conclusion, a person who always concentrates on the transcendental form of Krishna within his heart can very easily strike the whole wonder with wonder at his activities. This is the perfection of yoga performance as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 6.47. Yoginam api sarvesham. Of all yogis, the bhakti yogi who thinks of Krishna always within his heart and engages in his loving transcendental service is the topmost. Ordinary yogis can exhibit wonderful material activities known as Astasuddhi, 8 kinds of yogic perfection. But a pure devotee of the Lord can surpass these perfections by performing activities which can make the whole universe tremble. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So text 79. Yadaikapadena cha sa parthivar bhakkas tastho tad angustha nipeditamahi nanamatattradham ibhendra dishtita tariva swayetaratta padapadi. Translation. As Dhruva Maharaj, the king's son, kept himself steadily standing on one leg, the pressure of his big toe pushed down half the earth. Just as an elephant being carried on a boat rocks the boat right and left with his every step. Purport. The most significant expression in this verse is Parthivarga, son of the king. When Dhruva Maharaj was at home, although he was a king's son, he was prevented from getting on the lap of his father. But when he became advanced in self-realization or devotional service, By the pressure of his toe, he could push down the whole earth. That is the difference between ordinary consciousness and Krishna consciousness. In ordinary consciousness, a king's son may be refused something even by his father. But when the same person becomes fully Krishna conscious within his heart, he can push down the earth with the pressure of his toe. One cannot argue how is it that Dhruva Maharaj, who was prevented from getting up on the lap of his father, could press down the whole earth. This argument is not very much appreciated by the learned, for it is an example of Nagna Matrika logic. By this logic, one would think that because his mother in her childhood was naked, she should remain naked even when she is grown up. The stepmother of Dhruva Maharaj might have been thinking in a similar way, since she had refused to allow him to get up on the lap of his father. How could Dhruva, perform such wonderful activities as pressing down the whole earth? She must have been very surprised when she learned that Dhruva Maharaj, by concentrating constantly on the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart, could press down the entire earth, like an elephant who presses down the boat on which it is loaded. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, Mataji, we are ready for discussion. So, Govardhan Leela Mataji read some texts, but most of the texts did not have a purport. But you could still go first, Mataji.
I'll just say a few things before I have to leave. I have to leave early to go to the doctor, but I'm assuming here that Dhruva Maharaj began to meditate, and he was doing, I don't know, I wasn't here for that whole class, but on Friday, but I'm assuming he was doing austerity, yes, tremendous austerity. And as I had mentioned in previous, during the early part of last week, that this was during a different yuga. I'm assuming it was probably Satya Yuga, when the Yuga Dharma of the age was meditation. And this was something that was very popular. I mean, that was the way to reach the Lord. And so he was worshiping, and it looks to me he was out in the forest. It looks like he might have been out in a forest, because his eatables were dry grass and leaves. He was out in nature, let's put it this way. And this is how he was worshiping. And he only ate every 6 days. And then by the time he got to the 3rd month, he only drank water. So he went from just some food to just water, and he would only drink every 9th day. And he would remain in trance, and he worshiped our Supreme Personality of Godhead. Excuse me. And by the time the 4th month came, he was able to control his breathing, control his senses, everything. He was doing the kind of meditation that actually is not recommended for this age. Can you imagine if we were trying to meditate in this way? We could not do this. Very, very few. I'm sure there are some yogis or some pure devotees who are capable of doing such a thing, but most jivas cannot do this, at least not on this planet. I don't know about other planets, but we think we're really good at meditation if we can just somehow control our breathing. But Dhruva Maharaj was able to completely control his breathing to the point where he would only take a breath in, he would inhale only on the 12th day. So imagine not breathing. I don't know how he does that, but it was controlled. And so he became very fixed. He was, this sounds to me, yeah, he was in complete trance and worshiped the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this way. And so, and then, we've heard this story many times, at least I have, that he was able to, he had controlled his breathing so well, so perfectly, that he was able to stand on one leg. And he stood on that. I don't know how long it was. From my understanding, and he was concentrating on the Lord at this point, standing on one leg, just like a column stands. So he was able to control himself in terms of his balance, his motion. I'm not sure you can add to this, but I have a feeling he like stood on that one leg for I don't know how many years. I mean, like, no, it was 1,000 years. I don't know what the time frame was, but it was a very, very long time that he stood in this position and did this austerity. Now, what we must remember on this has been sanctioned in the Vedic scriptures only because his breathing was on the Supreme. He was concentrating his mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was not fixing it on an object or something else that was impersonal, or the light or the effulgence. No. He was concentrating his mind on the Supreme Lord. And that is the only reason that I understand that this type of yoga was allowed in the Vedic literatures. And once again, this was completely for a different age. We know that today, what we have to do is to fix our mind on the sound vibration of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the Yuga Dharma of this age. And so if we have any other objective in performing any kind of meditation, any kind of yoga, all right, and if we're not fixed upon the form of the Lord, it's basically a waste of time. And for this Yuga Dharma, it's so impossible. We can barely do it. We can't even meditate for 15 minutes without our minds, traveling all over the place and not being fixed in one position or on one thing. What to speak of doing this for so long that the person can stand on one leg and stay that way for years and years. I mean, this is great austerity. So for our age, this is not recommended. But once again, this was recommended to Dhruva Maharaj at that time period. It was completely acceptable. That's all I have for those few little verses that I read. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Lavanya Mataji, want to go next with text 78?
Yes, Mataji. Yeah. So the verse which I read, 78, in this verse, as we know just now, Mataji explained very well that Dhruva Maharaj is completely meditating on the form of the Lord, which is a very important part because, as you said, like the meditation should not be into void or on the aspect of void. It should be somewhere particular, like personalist. So a personalist or a bhakti yogi, he always concentrates on or meditate on the form of the Lord. So that's what Dhruva Maharaj is doing here. So according to this 78 verse, in this, Prabhupada is saying that Brahma is a very significant word because it definitely refers to the potency and unlimitedness of this unlimited capacity of of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So as we can see, like the sunshine. So here the Prabhupada is giving an example of sunshine to explain about Brahman. So and also in Bhagavad Gita, Supreme Lord says that I am the resting place of Brahman. So many Mayavadi philosophers doesn't know that they don't believe on the personal form of the Lord. They think that everything is Brahman. So here, as per the context here, so Dhruva Maharaja, when he is meditating on the form of the Lord, so due to the severity of his tapasya or meditation, so the three worlds began to tremble. So that's what the effect when a serious devotee or when a person seriously concentrates on the Supreme Lord. So why it is happening? So because the Supreme Lord is situated in the heart of Dhruva Maharaja, and he's having a constant association with the Lord, so his heart has become heavier and heavier. He became heavier and heavier. So even though he's like standing in this single leg, only on single leg, and then pushing his thumb onto the earth. So that small portion of the body is making so much of difference there. So it's becoming heavier and heavier, and it's pushing down the earth and causing the three worlds to tremble. So here Prabhupada is explaining that the Mahatattva, so the Brahman, Mahatattva, the sum total of the material creation, it is the ultimate end of all universes, including all the living entities. So here in this we have Mahatattva means Purusha and Pradhana. So we know that in Purusha, as a Purusha incarnation, the Lord is into all the living entities, even in the smallest atom. So so Lord is situated in every living entity as a spiritual spark. So that's why we can think that so whenever we meditate on the Lord, so Krishna, because he controls everything, he's the supreme controller and he controls everything. So he controls everything. That's why if he is situated in our heart and we are constantly meditating the same, so the transcendental form of Krishna will be in us also. And here, that's what even saying. Dhruva Maharaja naturally became equal to the greatest Brahman by his association, and thus became the heaviest, and the entire universe trembled. In conclusion, a person who always concentrates on the transcendental form of Krishna within his heart can very easily strike the whole world with wonder at his activities. So we can see many more examples in Srimad Bhagavatam, like whoever are concentrating or a great devotee or following Bhakti Yoga. So definitely they do a lot of wonders in the world. So normal person cannot imagine. Like we can't imagine how Dhruva Maharaja is doing these type of austerities and meditating on the Lord in the simple small age, such a small age, and how he is able to control the entire universe with the association of the Lord. So this is the here Prabhupada is saying this is the perfection of yoga performance, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 6.47. Yogi nama pisarvesham matkatinantaratmanam. So as we know that of all the yoga systems, the Bhakti Yoga is the topmost. So why? Because all the yoga systems are not concentrating on the personality of the God, of the Lord. So simply they are just focusing on different aspects of the Lord. But when in Bhakti Yoga is the only process where the yogi is fully concentrating on the Lord always and performing devotional services. And so the ultimate goal is to reach the Lord at any means, by any means he wants to reach. So that's his determination, and through his determination and through his love and all those things, so he can easily reach the Lord. So that is the stage of Bhakti Yoga. So we know Srila Prabhupada always stresses that whenever you go to any other yoga, instead of any other yoga processes, Bhakti Yoga is the main important one, which will directly take you to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's I heard in one class that we can say it's as an express elevator, where we can go from a normal common person, like normal karma yogi or karma kandi, to elevated to directly to a bhakti yogi stage. So here, as per Srila Prabhupada, as the Lord is situated in everyone's heart. So, but we have to concentrate on that particular aspect of the Supreme Lord. And not only, we should not think that as an impersonalist, we should not think the Brahman is the highest. So the highest form is the Bhagavan form of the Lord. So where we realize that the Supreme Lord has a form. So Dhruva Maharaja is giving a right example here, like how we have to meditate on the Lord. So, and such an austerity he's doing, and because of his austerities, the three worlds are trembling. So everyone, so that much power he got, and he's controlling everything around him. So that's what I want to tell Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Please correct me if I said anything wrong. No,
Mataji, everything was perfect. It just shows how much power is there in performing devotional service. So this is the last verse actually for today, and it's a short verse. So Dhruva Maharaj, he's a very young boy, only 5 years old, but he was so determined to receive what he wanted, that he was willing to perform all these austerities of eating once in a while, drinking once in a while, and standing on one leg, and fully focusing and concentrating upon the Supreme Lord. And as a consequence of that, what happened is that his big toe had become so heavy that he was able to push down half of the earth. And the analogy that is being given here is that just like an elephant, if an elephant is put on a boat, and then if the elephant begins to move inside the boat, then the whole boat will tremble. It will rock from one side to the another side because of the weight of the elephant. So that is the analogy here. So he had become very powerful in other words. So here, Prabhupada says that there is a particular world, Parthiv Varbhakaha. That means he was the son of a king. And as the son of the king, he was prevented from sitting on the lap of his fathers. And he was so helpless. That's what it means. He was so young, he was so helpless that he could not even have access to his own father's lap. But now he had become very advanced in self-realization. And what is that self-realization? He was focusing completely on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So such a young boy could push down the entire earth. And Prabhupada very quickly points out that is the difference between ordinary consciousness and Krishna consciousness. And so by the process of Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada says that, that people can transform themselves. They can become very dear to the Lord. And as a consequence of becoming very dear to the Lord, they also become very powerful. So, and then within this a purport, he is giving another argument. And it sounded a little weird when we first read it, but it makes sense. The essence of both these analogies is that one becomes completely transformed by the process of Krishna consciousness if it is done in the proper way, if it is executed in a proper way. And the second analogy is that, a child may be roaming around naked and it's perfectly fine. But when the child grows up, the adult does not roam around naked. What that means is that the person is not the same because he has changed, he has become transformed. So similarly, by the process of Krishna consciousness, the kind of helplessness that one experiences is transformed, and that is not due to our own greatness, but that is due to the mercy of the Lord. When we render devotional service, the Lord is willing to help us from within the heart, and because of that, like we can become complete. We can start feeling whole and complete. So I really appreciated both these analogies in this reading, because in this material world, actually, who was it, like I don't know which lecture of Chandramali Maharaj I was listening to, and there was a Mataji who was saying, Maharaj, the more I hear the Shikshashtakam verses, I feel hopeless. And Maharaj responded by saying, welcome to Krishna consciousness. So the more you become advanced, the more you will feel helpless and hopeless. So this is the nature of material existence. You know that it's actually tormenting a living entity, that he always feels helpless and hopeless. And the Mataji's question was like, in such a situation, I have a home and I have a family. How will I ever cry for Krishna? So that is another kind of helplessness and hopelessness we can experience in Krishna consciousness. That I have no hope. How will I advance in Krishna consciousness? But in both situations, whether we have to deal with the material energy and the powerful influence of material energy in our life, or the helplessness of how will I ever become Krishna conscious, in both situations, if we can just focus our attention on the Supreme Lord, He will become our shelter, and He will protect us through all situations. He will protect our consciousness through all situations, so that we do not become excessively resentful, excessively overwhelmed, excessively like dependent. I mean, dependence on the Lord is nice, but dependence on any other material substance, or and what I mean is by an unhealthy affection for something, whether it's a person or a thing or an object. So he will protect our consciousness from all those things. So, and yeah, we all know the solution, but it all depends on how nicely we are able to bring ourselves and our attention to applying the solution of chanting Hare Krishna, and accepting the process as it is given by our acharyas. So I'll conclude here, and see if there is some discussion. I'll have to leave in about 10 minutes, but devotees can continue to share if they continue to wish to continue. Anyone, Matajis, would you like to share anything from our reading today?
Nothing, Mataji. You explained nicely.
Okay, Mataji, thank you. Anasikanga Mataji or Rohini Mataji, would you like to share anything?
No, you did a very nice job, both of you, explaining what was going on. Yeah, I guess the thing that struck me most is the Srila Prabhupada's statement. This is the difference between ordinary consciousness and Krishna consciousness. On when Dhruva, at one point, was prevented from getting on the lap of his father, and the other later on, once he started devotional service, he could push the earth down with his toe. So just through devotional service, not only our consciousness changes, but our qualities and our abilities. So many devotees, like Srila Prabhupada mentioned, just one great example, or so many devotees and devotees in our movement now. I'm just thinking of that are so empowered, actually, because their devotional service is so great. And just even Sri Devi, it's just amazing how she just can remember like all these shlokas, and that's just someone amongst us. And I'm just thinking of a number of other people, how they just become empowered by the Lord as we do devotional service. So I guess that was just something that I was thinking about, how the Lord, as we serve Him, He, our consciousness is absorbed by, and our qualities become more like the Lord, who is capable of doing everything. So, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Anasikanga Mataji, for sharing. Yes. Yeah, Krishna wants to give us everything. He's just waiting for us to become qualified.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, okay, Mataji. So we can end a few minutes early.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Rohini Mataji or Rohini Mataji, you want to say something? Okay, so we'll wrap up for today. See you all tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.